decades, humanity has reported encounters with the unknown. Lights in the sky, craft beyond our understanding, and programs hidden in the shadows. Now, the truth may finally be emerging. This is the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 166 of the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast.
Hell yeah.
Joining me, as always, is I Have a Need to Know, Adam.
What's up, everyone? I do have a need to know. We all have a need to know.
We all do. And I am Topher. And just like I say every time before I post one of my articles, I say it's Topher time.
It's time for Topher. What did you do this week?
Oh, go ahead. What?
No, I was going. No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say we want to thank you all so much for joining us wherever you're listening to the show. Most of you seem like you're listening on Spotify, but we do have a YouTube channel.
We do.
It's where you can go ahead and listen and watch, whatever we're talking about each week.
Exactly. And I guess you saw that comment, right, on YouTube. Someone's like, well, I didn't know you guys had a YouTube channel. So, yeah, we should tell people on Spotify that you can watch us on YouTube as well. So head on over there, subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. It really
helps us fight the algorithm.
Yep, exactly. We do have most of our subscribers are on Spotify, like you said, and the traffic. But yeah, so today, Topher, we're doing another deep dive into one of your investigations, your very well researched, well written investigations. And this one is the famous Socorro case. And I think you did an excellent job conveying, basically the foundations of the case, the evidence, the debunkers, of course, and other theories that I thought. Of course, you brought in the Wu and Jack Valet, all that stuff. Really good, well-rounded article.
Yeah, last time we talked about the Penturk incident, and like we were talking about before the show, that incident was all over the place. We were trying to track it all over Wales.
Yeah.
And thankfully, this one's a little bit more straightforward. And also, thankfully, the debunking was so shit.
So hilarious.
All I had to do was give it about 2 sentences because it is not even worth getting into. And of course, I'll cover those at the very end. But yes, I wrote and did I did a lot of research on the Socorro UAP incident in New Mexico.
Of course, New Mexico, huh?
Of course, New Mexico in 1964. Pretty straightforward case. This again involves a good cop, mind you. Yep. And it involves just about every other branch of government.
And he was a good cop, right? I mean,
he was.
Yeah, everyone says that, and you just listen to his interviews. He just always comes out that way. The military never smeared him or went after. I guess they just couldn't.
They tried, actually. He did end up quitting his job a few years after this incident because of some of the ridicule he was getting. But best I could tell, everyone who was directly involved with him, including J. Allen Hynek, loved the guy. Yeah. He ended up becoming the cornerstone of the case because he was so well respected and was so obviously telling the truth about what happened. Everyone, really respected him, and it's why this case is stuck around. But let's dive into it. So I'll start with this. I'm going to start with a flaming hot take that's going to shock everyone.
Yeah, let's hear it.
UFOs are weird.
Are they?
Super weird.
Yeah.
For generations, humankind has had their collective eyes on the strange goings-ons in the sky with wonder and sometimes fear. And everyone wants to know what the hell is going on up there. What's with these strange lights and what's with these crafts? And why do the occupants seem to be so obsessed about our genitals? I won't be covering the part about our genitals today, but we'll be talking about pretty much just about everyone else. So when it comes to UAPs, there's really 2 schools of thought. I mean, there's more, but I'm generalizing here a lot. There's the nuts and bolts theory, and there's the woo theory.
Nuts and balls theory.
Nuts and bolts is intelligent life is visiting our planet from somewhere else in the galaxy and somewhere else in the universe, right? They come here in craft, they're visiting, they've got technology we may or may not understand, and I don't know what they're doing. They've got their own alien agenda going on. That's pretty standard. That's the Star Wars theory. You know, it's very it's very black and white. It makes sense
they have
to the majority of
anal.
people.
They have an anal agenda.
Yeah, the anal alien agenda. The other tract of thought is more woo. It's weird, and it's starting to get more and more traction these days. A lot of people are talking about this kind of stuff, but the woo is just everything that is weird that can't be explained, whether it's interdimensional travel or it's time travel even, or if it's just even like paranormal and the fringe science side of the phenomena. It's just
Right.
stuff we talk about as like theory, and like maybe this is going on, maybe that's going on. That's the woo. One of the lead UFO researchers who's pushed the woo theory and is becoming more and more of a well-known name is Jacques Vallée.
Jacques Vallée, yes, the famous Frenchman,
astrophysicist, no, astrologer,
and computer scientist,
and computer scientist. Yeah, and he began researching UFOs in the 1960s, and throughout his research, he started connecting dots that people were ignoring or that people didn't see before. He was going like, well, a lot of the stuff we're talking about with UFOs today or in the 1960s really relates heavily to, you know, stuff like ancient folklore. And he starts connecting these dots and realizing that, you know, these can't just be craft from another planet. They're too weird. They're too out there. They're too wooey, you know, to just be nuts and bolts craft from another dimension. Or nuts and bolts craft from another planet, excuse me. So all of this research led him to, and of course I am really, you know, summing up this, you know, I'm barely scratching the surface on Jacques Vallée.
Right. I mean, yes, he's a prolific writer, researcher. So yes, what you're condensing, you know, decades of his research. Yeah,
very much so. But all of this research led to what he calls the control system hypothesis.
Hell yeah. I love that one.
Yes, it's really fun. UFOs or UAPs are likely a phenomenon that has been around for all of human history that somehow interacts with our consciousness in order to shape human culture in a way that covertly steers our civilization. But whatever this intelligence is that's steering humankind, it's not necessarily good or bad. It just has a level of intelligence that we can't fathom as meat bags. You know, bags of human meat.
Meat puppets.
Yeah, and he was one of the first ones talking about the interdimensional hypothesis rather than the interplanetary. And for anyone who wants to get into Jacques Vallée, I highly recommend his book Dimensions. I just started reading it as well, but that is arguably his most well-known book, and it's a good summary of all of his beliefs.
Yeah, his journals are really good too. Forbidden Science, those are excellent, man. They're really good books.
Awesome. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is because as we're listening to it and everything I'm going to describe today, it sounds like a very nuts and bolts UFO UAP experience. But when we get to the end, I'll kind of throw something in there that really, and as I was researching this, I kept going like, okay, this is a lot weirder than I thought it was.
And Jacques Vallée, did you say that he was involved in this investigation as well with Hynek?
I did not see much. I knew Hynek was involved. I did not know if Jacques Vallée, how involved he was in this case, but Hynek's name popped up several times.
Yeah, Jack was involved, and he told Hynek about what convinced Hynek about how the reality of the Socorro one was. Vallée told him about one that happened, I think, a year or 2 years before in France. That was the exact same case, the same beings, the same egg-shaped thing, and that's what I think. Hynek quit after this one. He joined the other side after Socorro as well.
Yeah, I do know this was a big case for Hynek, and like we were talking about earlier, when he met with Lonnie Zamora, the main witness to this event, you know, he came at it as, okay, what did Lonnie Zamora see? Was he making this up? He ended up really liking Lonnie Zamora, and I know that did turn him around on this case. So
likable guy.
Yeah, like I said, this may seem like a normal UFO sighting, but after digging into the event and seeing the outlines of a very strange picture, I think it's worth considering the woo when talking about this UAP case.
Very, very cool.
So on April 24th, 1964, police officer Lonnie Zamora was in the middle of his 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. shift. It had been a day just like any other for for him another quiet shift as a police officer in the small town of Socorro, New Mexico. Socorro is situated about an hour south of Albuquerque, and it's a small town. The population was about 5,000 at the time.
Oh my God, tiny.
Remember, it's a town. I grew up in a city or a town of about 5,000. But it's surrounded mostly by undeveloped desert. So it really is, Southwest American town. It could not be a more stereotypical place for a UFO incident. All we needed was some cows getting abducted, and we would have hit
You're right.
Check marks
Exactly.
there.
Yeah.
So New Mexico, obviously well known for a lot of UAP lore. Roswell had just happened about 2 decades before this and was fairly close to Socorro. I think it's about like 2-3 hours away.
Nothing.
And also, we'll dive into it a little bit later, but White Sands Missile Test Range and Holloman Air Force Base, also just a couple hours away.
Oh my God.
This is smack dab in the middle of UAP Central.
I cannot believe I haven't visited New Mexico. I mean, seriously, what is wrong with me? Like,
I'm telling you, man.
Go there, man.
We talked about it last week. When we get enough capital, what we're going to do is we're going to do a worldwide UAP tour where we go to all the sites around, like famous, places around the world where UAPs have been seen. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. So on that evening of the 24th, a little bit before 6 p.m., police officer Lonnie Zamora was just doing his job. He had seen a teenager speeding south toward the edge of Socorro and was following with the intent of pulling the speedster over. And something I didn't cover here, but I did find really funny in the FBI files, is he straight up knew who the kid was. He goes, it's that so-and-so kid speeding around again.
Same troublemaker, yeah.
And this guy, this kid at the time, now, this happened in the 60s, so now he's older gentleman. I wonder if he even knows about this. I wonder if he goes, yeah, that was me. Anyway,
that'd be fun to find him, huh?
Yeah, it would. So as Officer Zamora continued the chase out of town, he saw and heard something extraordinary. In the southwestern part of the sky, a bright flame was descending, accompanied by the sound of a roar. He would state in his report that the flame had a bluish and slightly orange hue in the shape of a funnel. Excuse me. The flame appeared to be in a stream down shape. Stream down, that's directly from the FBI files. Okay. But it was, so imagine a funnel coming from the bottom of the craft, but the top is more narrow than the bottom.
Okay.
But at this time, he could not make out any kind of objects at the top of the flame. But again, he was driving and chasing a speeding teenager, so he couldn't, focus on it completely. It was just kind of one of those things that he saw and was like, okay, I got to get off the road. As he was pulling off to the side of the road, whatever this was, the flame he was looking at passed down behind the hill. So remember, New Mexico desert, it's not flat sand like you might imagine. It's hilly and rocky. It's that kind of desert.
Okay.
He could still hear the roar as the flame passed beyond the hill. And he pulled off to the side and he started making his way up the hill. And this is in the documents too. I kind of glossed over it here in the article, but he struggled to get his car up the hill. He got stuck 3 times and had to stop and go up and stop and go up. And all this was going on. He couldn't see the flame anymore, of course, but could still hear the roar. His first immediate thought, and again, I think I was chuckling at this. His first thought was that a known dynamite shack in the area had exploded. And I mean, I don't know if we still use dynamite shacks, but I thought that was the funniest thing. Can you imagine, like in the 60s, like, old man Rivers and his dynamite shack blew up. Yeah, like
that's nuts. But it is weird that there's noise, right, with this event. Even though most UAPs there's no noise, so it's interesting.
It is interesting, and that does tie into my theory at the end. I
saw that. Yeah.
So by the time he got to the top of the hill, the roaring had stopped, and he was looking out over the desert floor going like, okay, let's look for this blown up shack or whatever the hell was going on.
Right.
And instead he observed a white object in the distance, about 150 to 200 yards away. So like pretty far away, not close. He wasn't close enough yet to make out what the hell was going on. And it was resting away from whatever gravel or dirt road was out there. But he could make out 2 small humanoid figures seemingly wearing white coveralls outside of the craft, but he couldn't make out any headwear. That's important. So sometimes in these UAP incidents, they'll be wearing helmets or something bizarre like that. But this is just like he just said they looked like two small humans. They were either, I think this is going to mention later, but I guess I could say it now. He thought they were human shaped. They were either large kids or small adults.
All right. So nothing too weird, just small.
Yeah, right. So this is a quote from Officer Zamora. I could see a white object to my left there. I thought it was a turned over car. When I got up to the top of the mesa there, I looked down and I saw this big white object on the ground. I thought I could see something around the craft there. I could see some figures. Looked like they were walking around the craft. So he assumed that the object was an overturned car, like someone was joyriding and had crashed off the road and rolled it a couple times. But he noticed just because of the tall oblong way the shape was, he thought the car was either sitting on its end or its front, like tall ways up. After that, Lonnie Zamora moved his patrol car closer in order to help and radioed into the sheriff's office. And this is what he said. Socorro 2 to Socorro Socorro 2 to Socorro. Possible 1044. I'll be 10-6 out of the car, checking the car down in the Arroyo. Socorro 2 was his call sign. 1044 means accident, and 10-6 means busy.
Okay.
But as he got closer, and as our listeners may have guessed, it was not an overturned car at all that he saw down there. Instead, he saw a large oval or egg shape resting about 3 feet off the ground, standing on 2 legs, which slanted slightly away from the body of the object. The object itself was a bright aluminum color. It was white against the brown mesa, but not as shiny as chrome. So bright white, but not metally white, if that makes sense. He stopped his car and he planned to make the rest of the way to the car on foot. He tried to make his way to the object on foot from his car. But as he began to exit his vehicle, he fumbled his radio trying to put it back in its holder inside the car. He heard 3 loud thumps. So he looked away from the object to put his radio back in its little slot there, dropped it, and was fiddling around with it. And he heard 3 loud thumps. Boom, boom, boom. He described the thumps as sounding like a hard hammer strike or the hard shutting of doors, like the slamming of car doors.
Yeah.
When he looked back at the object, he could see that the 2 humanoids were no longer outside of the craft, and he assumed that they had retreated back inside the craft.
They scrambled.
So he heard those 3 loud car door like slams and assumed that was them shutting themselves back inside of the craft.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair assumption, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
So then the loud roaring returned. He confirmed it didn't sound like a jet engine, but instead it was a roar that began at a low frequency and then moved to a higher pitch. He also noted this. I like this little tidbit. Officer Zamora also noted that the sound of the roar went from loud to very loud as the pitch of the roar increased. So it was already
like a rocket.
It was already pretty loud, and then it got even louder. Yeah. And then the flame that he originally had seen in the sky had also returned, appearing as a thruster of some sort at the bottom of the craft. And the flame that he saw, he noted it was the exact same color that he had seen up in the sky earlier. But now he had a new angle of the craft. He could see it wasn't egg-shaped, but rather more tic-tac shaped.
So tic-tac time.
When he originally saw it, you can picture this in your head, listeners, he was looking at the tail end of it. So he saw an egg shape with 2 legs. And as he got closer to it and he was driving his car around it, he got a side view of the thing, and it was now more oval tic-tac shaped and had 4 legs.
Yeah.
And he also saw something very strange on the side of the craft. It was a red insignia.
Yes, talk about the insignia.
Oh, we'll get to it. We're not going to talk about it yet because that's going to take us down a whole other rabbit hole.
All right.
Just note for people listening to this, he did see an insignia on the side of the craft, but he also noted that the outside of the craft completely smooth. No seams, windows, bulkheads, no doors, anything, which, as you've pointed out many times on the show, Adam, that's how you know it's a real craft, if it has no seams.
Yep, exactly.
Here's another quote. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it feels like or looks like it's been molded or printed from 3D or assembled molecularly even. That's how perfect these things are.
It's not put together into pieces like you might imagine a car would be, for instance.
Exactly.
So Officer Zamora said this. I saw this flame come up from underneath it. Then I ran back behind the car and it went up to 20 to 30 feet up in the air. It just stayed there for a
Damn.
while.
Uh-huh.
And then finally, it just took off slowly to the west. At first, after I got to my senses, I said, did I see it or didn't I? What happened, So as the flame on this craft started up, or under this craft started up, and the thing started going up into the air, Officer Zamora took off running. And, again, this is all from the FBI files, extremely detailed, and it's completely pointless information, but it adds to the ambiance. Saw this thing take off, and he turned around and just ran away, going like, oh my God, what's happening? Ran into the back of his car, lost his sunglasses, and then continued running up the hill and dove over the top of the top crest of the hill.
He totally freaked out.
Well, how could you not?
I know. Yeah, but it adds to how real it was.
Yeah. And he jumped over the top of the hill, like got some cover, and he was covering his head with his arms.
Mm-hmm.
And because he was expecting it to explode. But instead, the roaring stopped, and there was a sharp whine for a second. Sounded from a high tone to a low tone. This only lasted a second, and then it was followed by eerie silence, causing Officer Zamora to look over the ridge back to where the craft had been. So, kind of like you said before, UFOs are usually completely silent. So this started off with the roar of the the fire going off. There was a whine, and then completely silent.
Mm-hmm.
So once he looked over the ridge, he could see that the craft was moving away from him and in a southwestern direction, just slowly away, going away from him across the countryside. And right after that, he obviously really freaked out, as listeners can probably tell. He radioed back in, ran back down to his car, and radioed in to a man named Zepp. What was it? I had it written down here. Zepp Lopez.
Yep.
Yeah, who was the guy working the radio back at the station. And he goes, Zepp, look out the window, see what you see. And again, I think Officer Zamora was just panicking, and and it was kind of like that quote I read earlier. He goes, did I see that? Did I really see that?
Exactly.
And he wants someone else to just verify that he in fact has seen something and not going insane. And of course, Zepp Lopez back at the station is like, what are you talking about? What did you see? And Zamora goes, oh, it looks like a balloon, which just makes me shake my head, because then it, that's where all the people can pile on this case and go, oh, he didn't see anything. He said he saw something that looked like a balloon. It must have been a balloon.
Oh my God. I mean, he's trying to explain what it looks like,
Right.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it was irrelevant. Zepp Lopez's window looked out to the north, the complete opposite direction from when all this was happening. Lonnie Zamora, again, I think in a panic, was just trying to get someone to see something that he saw.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, and this is another weird thing. It sounds like maybe this is like a small town thing, but like every federal agency is like located in this same office. The Socorro police station is in this building. There's an FBI office in this building. There's the county office in this building. That's why when Zamora radios back in and he goes, get me the state. Oh, the state police are there too. Like everyone is in this one building, which I don't understand. Like I said, maybe
small town, I guess. Yeah. That's why.
Yes. Because the next thing that Zamora did, he calls back into Zepp and he goes, okay, my buddy Chavez is there. Can you send him this way? And Chavez is New Mexico State Police.
Okay.
So Sam Chavez of New Mexico State Police, Zamora asked Chavez to come meet him at the site. And so Sergeant Sam Chavez was the first person other than Officer Zamora to come back to this site.
And how much longer? I mean, how much later did he come, Chavez?
Couple minutes later, because the call from Officer Zamora into NEP asking Sergeant Sam Chavez happened right between 5:45 and 5:50 p.m. according to the FBI documents released about this case. So Zamora was waiting at the site. And again, it was only a couple minutes. I mean, again, small town. They're not that far outside of town. There's
true. Yeah,
I have to imagine there's not a whole lot else going on.
Yeah.
But Zamora waited, and he saw that the brush that was underneath where the craft had landed, it was still smoking.
Damn.
He also took this time to sketch out the insignia that he saw on the side of the craft. And again, we will get to that. There's a lot
All
to
right.
unpack there.
Nice.
So when Chavez showed up, he saw Lonnie Zamora in a state of distress. He said, I could tell that Lonnie was excited and probably scared. Lonnie Zamora, he's a very dependable, honest type of person. He's not one to create or make stories or build things up to make it exciting or anything like that. But he saw that Zamora was covered in sweat and looked very pale. Zamora asked Chavez, he goes, is there any, I think, again, this is one of those things, he wants to make sure that someone else is seeing that what he saw. So he doesn't,
Yeah, you can't blame him.
He doesn't preamble at all. He just goes, is there anything around here that you can see that's odd? Chavez looked down into the arroyo, and Chavez said, well, yeah, I mean, the brush is smoking on there. Damn. And I think Zamora just goes, okay, whew, let's go check it out. And so the two men walked down there, and they saw that something had been there, because in the desert floor, they saw 4 holes where the ground had been compacted by the 4 legs of the object that Zamora had seen. And the holes weren't the only sign of the craft they found, because sand around the area in between those 4 holes had been turned glass-like, like what happens to sand when it is given a bunch of heat. It turns to glass.
Right. Exactly.
And of course, they saw the brush that had been, caught on fire or burned, I should say. So eventually, they called even more help in. They go, something happened here. We need to figure it out. And so they called back to the office, and they get several other people involved. From the FBI was Special Agent D. Arthur Burns, Socorro County Undersheriff Jim Lucky, and another Socorro officer named Ted Jordan. All of them,
dream team here.
Yeah, all of them joined Zamora and Chavez to look at the side of the craft, and everyone goes, yeah, something happened here. And they looked at the marks on the ground. They saw the burn marks, and all of them were like, this had to have just happened. These are fresh marks. And I'm not sure which. Okay, perfect. They did in the FBI files. You can see a sketch of the landing zone. They've got the marks drawn out there. They've got the footprints, which we will cover. They're listed as quote unquote footprints in the FBI documents, but are they, aren't they? We will discuss that a little bit later.
Yeah. So, but and this is a diagram that they drew, right? It's not Zamora. Yes. I mean, it's from Zamora's interview, I'm sure. Yeah, and description. But yeah, so it was a 9 foot by 7.5 inches.
Yeah.
So 9.7 here, 10.5. These are feet, right? Yeah. 9 feet by 10 feet by 14. Did they see this on the ground?
Yes.
Oh wow. So cool.
And you see right in the top right part of the inside the box there's the general area of quote unquote footprints.
Yeah.
And something that was mentioned also, outside of those holes that were pressed into the ground, like the dirt had been moved, like something had pressed down hard there and moved the dirt.
Do we know how much? Does it say?
No, it just says dirt berm.
Yeah. Oh, burn too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Special Agent Burns noted the 4 indentations on the ground and noted their size, about 16 by 6 inches in a rectangular shape. The depressions were about 2 inches deep, and it moved some of the dirt to the sides. Those are the berms, indicating that whatever had been there had been of substantial weight. And then inside of the 4 depressions were 3 burn marks, along with 1 more burn mark outside of the 4 original marks. But he did note that clumps of the grass outside of the area here completely undisturbed. So whatever the burn was had been localized to this spot, right?
Right.
There were also 3 other circular marks in the area. These are the quote unquote footprints, about 4 inches in diameter, but only about 1/8 of an inch deep. And he said, according to his report, it was if a jar lid had been pressed gently into the ground.
Okay.
So we have these 4 shallow depressions that were labeled as footprints in quotes, but it is important to note that no conventional footprints were found at the site, according to the FBI documents of the case. There is someone else.
No conventional footprints. All right. Someone
else says there were footprints, which we will get into.
Okay.
So despite everyone I just mentioned, we've got the FBI, we've got undersheriff of the county, we've got another officer, we've got New Mexico State Police. This case this main case is focused on one person, really, Officer Lonnie Zamora. The FBI files describe him as well regarded as a sober, industrious, and very well respected, conscientious, thank you, and not given to fancy. Actually, the word sober shows up like 100 times in the FBI documents, and I believe they're talking, I believe it means two different things here. We're talking about sober as in not drinking, but also doesn't sober also mean someone who's like cool, calm, and collected?
Right. Sober thinking. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And not emotional.
Right. And Officer Zamora did say that the last drink that had happened before this was like a couple of beers over a month before this had happened. So alcohol is not part of this investigation at all.
Okay. Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, when J. Allen Hynek met Lonnie Zamora, very impressed. The fact of this case is that Lonnie Zamora is the most persuasive argument for this case being real.
Yes, exactly. That's what I come out after reading the documents as well. That is the major. That's the strength of the case, is this man's character.
Yes. But as it turned out, Officer Zamora was not the only one to see this craft. He was the only one to witness this landing and it taking off again and all that other stuff. But lots of other people saw this craft.
Amazing.
Over the following days, reports would be gathered from others who had heard the same roars that Zamora had, and it matched the timeline that the officer had reported. There were 3 separate reports filed from citizens calling into police reporting bright glowing objects in the sky. And these reports were made before the case of the knowledge of the case went public.
Okay.
Someone had even called into the local television station to report a UFO that had been seen flying south of Socorro 15 minutes before Zamora's encounter. So like around 5:30 or so. And then, weirdly enough, a few days after Zamora's experience, a man visiting his father in the area of Socorro reported an object shaped like a butane tank, which is what we just described.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was disturbing his father's horses in the middle of the night. The man witnessed the craft emitting similar flames from the underside. When an officer later investigated the scene, they found the same indentations and a large patch of smoldering earth.
No way.
Where
I missed that one.
Butane tank had landed. Dude.
What?
Yeah. And then
there's
another witness. This one became the most prolific other than Lonnie Zamora. This guy's name is Opal Grinder. He wasn't a witness. He was a secondhand witness. You'll see what I mean. He was a gas station attendant in Socorro, and customers who'd been on the highway came in and they were complaining of low-flying aircraft in the area. Actually, his whole interview was very funny talking about this. When Grinder said, must have just been a helicopter, the customer was like, well, it was a really funny-looking helicopter. Didn't have propellers or anything. And Grinder was like, yeah. Foreigners, what are you going to do? They were like from Iowa or something. And this guy was like,
foreigners.
Yeah. But the next day, when the news of this whole report got released, it caught Grinder by surprise because he realized that these people came in talking about low-flying aircraft right at the same time, roughly around the same time, of course, that Zamora had witnessed this craft at around 5:45 or so. When Grinder called in and reported the report to the local radio station, it further corroborated Zamora's story. Ray Stanford, Ray Stanford, who is a ufologist and researcher, interviewed Opal Grinder, and I've got that linked in the article if anyone wants
What's
to check
that name again?
Opal Grinder. It looks like
Grinder.
Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of Opal before. His last name looks like Grinder, but when I was listening to the interview, he goes by Grinder. So just
all right. Nice
FYI
name.
to people who are reading those, yeah. And apparently years after this, UFO researchers did catch up with the 2 witnesses that had spoke with Grinder, and they confirmed that the object that they had seen was egg-shaped.
Damn, man. That really strengthens the case. All those.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier, White Sands Missile Range and the Holloman Air Force Base are just a few hours south or southeast of Socorro, where this UAP incident took place. And we're not going to dive into Holloman Air Force Base here. I mean, that is like the center of so much UAP.
Dude, we
lore.
should do one. We should do a deep dive in that story.
Would love to do a deep dive on Holloman.
Yeah, let's do that one next, since it kind of like follows a narrative. Because that one, when that landing happened, that was in the 60s too. 66 maybe.
Yeah, it was right around. Yeah. It was right around this. Long story short, they were supposed to release that footage to a documentarian to start prepping people for UFOs and aliens to be part of our daily life, and they backed out at the last second.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So because this happened so close, Air Force got involved, by the next day.
Ooh, Dodie and Dodie's dad.
So the Air Force sent, and this is by extension, this is how Project Blue Book got involved with this case. Air Force sent Captain Richard T. Holder to Socorro. And at first, Captain Holder expected the event to be something of an open and shut case. This is what he said. My first impression was that it was something from the range that needed possible help, first aid, attention, or best security. And I do think this is a pretty solid argument for what happened here, but this ended up getting disproven, but it could have been easily used as the cover story. Right. But basically, you could just say, okay, we were testing something at the base here. They had problems and had to land, and that's what Zamora saw. But they didn't go with that.
Interesting, huh? You're right. They could have just said something. Yeah, it looks like one of ours could have been, we were testing it or something.
Yeah, I'm actually. It kind of makes this whole case so wooey, if you will.
Yeah.
But after examining the evidence and interviewing Officer Zamora along with the other officers involved, things became a little bit murkier. He said, the more I got into it, the less convinced I was that was the case, referring to, possible experimental craft that had to land or something. He said, everything we saw seemed to support the story that Officer Zamora recounted. Nothing gave me the slightest hint that he did this as a hoax or cooked it up for fame or fortune. Once again, we have someone here who came in to try and disprove or figure out what the hell was going on. And then meeting with Zamora and talking to him, realized Zamora is not one for bullshit or to make stuff up or anything. And goes, oh God, I believe this guy.
Amazing, man. Amazing.
Yeah. And then later in 1964, even the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena, I spelled aerial wrong there. They would say that whatever had happened had not originated from either of the military locations, that being Holloman or White Sands. They said all possible explanations were explored by Army Captain Richard T. Holder, who attempted to determine whether White Sands missile range at Holloman Air Force Base had anything that might produce the conditions described. But neither White Sands nor Holloman had an object that would compare to the object described. There was no known firing missions in progress at the time of the occurrence that could produce the conditions reported.
All right.
So after all this research, everyone's going, well, it's not one of ours. Again, bizarre way to go about it. I mean, this is the 60s, still kind of early on in the UAP stuff. Yep. Maybe they weren't super prepped back then.
Yeah, and the FOIA didn't exist either, so they did feel they were still, comfortable and protected behind the government. You know,
anything's national security when you want it to be.
Right.
And it may seem like, from listening to everything I just read, everyone was working together and it was kumbaya and we don't know what this is, but man, so cool that you saw this and let's get to the bottom of this. Yeah,
exactly. Let's figure it out.
But that's not exactly what happened here.
Man, they gotta always ruin it, And yes, continue.
So in reality, this was full of the government's playbook when it comes to the UAP field. We've got cover-ups and lies. So when originally interviewed by Captain Holder, who brought in Special Agent Burns, remember he's from the FBI, who was also in Socorro for some reason, on April 25th, the next day, Officer Zamora stated that he believed he had witnessed some sort of military test or experimental vehicle. Again, he gave them an excuse to say, this is what I think happened. They could have just gone, yep. But instead, they went, no, we got to figure this out. But what's really weird is immediately after this interview, Captain Holder and Special Agent Burns rushed out to the landing site to investigate further. And by this time, they'd gotten out there. It was dark. And so they had to use flashlights to figure out what the hell was going on.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, why were they rushing? Don't know. No explanation. But more importantly, why had all the crystallized sand been removed by the following morning?
Oh, sounds like the Department of Energy came in.
Dr. James E. McDonald wrote this. Investigating officers from the Air Force Project Blue Book had taken over the site, gleaned every piece of burned brush and rocks, and reportedly fused sand. They had cleaned out the gully, taking the physical evidence away to sites unknown. No independent scientists or researchers had been able to learn the results of any analyses the Air Force might have done.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
So they went that night and took all of the stuff from the site.
Of course they did.
Yeah. But they also took something else. if you remember, there was another police officer who was one of the first on the scene, Officer Ted Jordan.
Jordan, yeah.
And he provided further information about the case after he retired. So he was interviewed years after this had happened, once he had retired. He said that as the men investigated the site in 1964, Jordan took many photographs of the area in order to document everything that had happened. But when the Air Force began their investigation, they asked Officer Jordan for the reel of film he had used for the photographs. I probably don't even have to go ahead and say this, but I will anyway. Officer Jordan would never see that reel of film again.
Oh my God. This field is just so frustrating.
Here we go. It gets worse. According to the Air Force, the film had been exposed to radiation and no photographs were able to be produced from the film.
Such bad luck.
They just threw it in the trash.
It's garbage, guys. It's garbage.
What's further interesting is that when Jordan was asked about the film after his retirement, he said that it included photographs of not only the indentations and burns on the ground, but also of footprints shaped like coffee cups.
I love that.
So there had been
like coffee cups. So it's their boots or their shoes. Or something. Yeah. I love that. Imagine that. You know how they always say like it looks like they're gliding or something like that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like a pocket of air or some anti-gravity shit.
Something. In the recreation or the reenactment, I think you were playing it earlier. They show like some of the footprints. And
yes.
They're like crescent shaped. Oh, there it is, right there.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's the quote unquote coffee mug shape. Coffee mug footprint shape that he's talking about there. I think that's what those are supposed to be.
All right.
Of course, we don't know what they really look like because,
of course,
the military took that stuff.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and all the pictures and so great.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is they're somewhere. I don't think unless they destroyed the evidence. But
it's sitting next to the Ark of the Covenant in the Indiana Jones warehouse.
Totally.
Yeah. Of course, no explanation has ever been given for the confiscations of the photographs or the material from the incident site, but it seems
national security.
It seems safe to say that the evidence was removed so no outside forces could further research the Socorro UAP incident.
Right.
So
Agreed.
Captain Holder created 2 reports about this case. The external, which was released to the public, of course, downplayed what Officer Zamora had seen, but it did give no true resolution to what had occurred on April 24th. Typical. The other report, which was released internally to his superiors, given to Project Blue Book, all that stuff, was much more urgent.
Right.
Despite Holder thoroughly investigating the case, he could not determine what Zamora had experienced, and he very much believed what Zamora had reported. Nothing from his military knowledge or experience could explain what had happened.
Damn. Well, thank you, T. Holder, for being so truthful, right?
Sure.
Not propagandist. I mean, what he gave to the public obviously downplayed it, but then internally he's like, guys, this is something serious.
Yeah. And that is really what it seemed like, because he went in as someone trying to disprove or come up with any explanation as to what Lonnie Zamora could have seen, and he couldn't. And that's when he panicked and went to his superiors and was like, guys, I don't know what's going on here. We need to look into this. So finally, we've been teasing it all episode. We're going to talk about the insignia.
Yeah.
Can you pull up the photo of the 3 different insignias? There it is. Thank you. So as we can see here on the far left, that's what Dr. Hynek recorded based on Zamora's explanations of the insignia he saw. The B insignia, that's the quote-unquote official version that we know of it to be, but it's weird because it doesn't match what Hynek had drawn down.
Yeah, a little bit, but not really.
Yeah. And then C is what was given to the public, provided to the public. And even if you look on Wikipedia or other articles discussing this case, they will use the C insignia as the official insignia that Zamora saw, which is incorrect. It's a bald-faced lie.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. But I do find that interesting because it does prove that there is a cover-up here of some sort.
Of some sort. I mean, I think what they did is a filtering process, right? They wanted to filter the guys who were making up shit.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I
right? Yeah.
yes, I do touch on that here a little bit. Um, do 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 do. As far as anyone can tell, none of these designs that you see above are official insignias used by any branch of the military or government.
Hmm.
Um, but like I said, this insignia just goes to show that there's at least some level of cover in this case, because the C insignia is not the insignia that Lonnie Zamora saw.
Hmm.
It's somewhere he saw something between A and B. I do find it. I don't think he's ever officially been able to come out on record and say what he saw.
Okay.
Uh,
But it's
A and
definitely
B.
not C.
It's not C. We know that for sure. That was
Okay.
that was the insignia released to the public.
Mhm.
In fact, I did find a interview where he's talking about the insignia, and the guy on the radio asked him, "So you saw an upside down V with 3 lines through it?" And Zamora goes, "I can't talk about it. They asked me not to say anything about that."
Ah, interesting. All right. Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. And reportedly, Captain Holder told Zamora to instead describe the insignia as the arrow shape with the line underneath it and the semicircle above it, in order to match the report that the Air Force released about the incident to the public.
Mhm.
And like you said, this is commonplace. Supposedly, this is commonplace in these types of investigations, and done so, investigators can locate other legitimate witnesses.
Yeah.
So if someone reported to the Air Force, I saw a big egg-shaped craft, and it had the arrow insignia too. The Air Force will
Right.
go, "No, you didn't," because that's not
Exactly.
what he saw.
We're
But
not going to call you back.
if someone came in and said, "Yeah, I saw an insignia," or a craft with the insignia, and it was an upside down V with lines going through it, they'd be like, "Oh God, we got to go talk to that guy."
Mhm. Mhm.
And insignias, or at least symbols on the sides of craft, is pretty common in UAP lore. You and I have discussed here. We've done a deep dive on the Rendlesham.
Yep.
We talked about that, and that craft was covered in symbols.
Yep.
Supposedly, the Roswell craft had them as well.
Yeah. So many. Yeah. I mean,
Many. There's tons. The other one I was just thinking about is the bell. What was it called?
Yeah. The bell. Wait. Not the Nazi one. You're talking about the Kecksburg one.
Kecksburg. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yep, nailed it.
Yep. That one as well. You're right.
Yeah. Anyway, digging deep into this, I did find a pretty interesting Reddit post about it. He had some knowledge of Sanskrit, and he was able to pull different Sanskrit letters or symbols, and see that there was a lot of them that were pretty closely related to all 3 of these symbols.
Okay.
But he did say that he was an amateur, and so take that with a grain of salt. But I did find it pretty interesting. But he thought he had laid out pretty good evidence that this was some sort of Sanskrit.
Oh, definitely. I mean, what's his name? Knew Sanskrit. Oppenheimer. He knew Sanskrit. Obviously, that's why he said, "I've become destroyer of worlds." But he actually learned Sanskrit and read the Mahabharata, by himself and whatever. But he said, and there is lore that he found something in the Kingman craft, which had some Sanskrit in there as
No
well.
kidding.
Yeah, man. Very strange, huh? So
Yeah, it is strange.
These could be just ancient gods. I mean, obviously everyone talks about that. It's nothing new, but I'm saying, like, because in the Mahabharata, there's like Star Wars going on basically in those books where they're blowing each other up. There's like war in space. So so that link to Sanskrit is pretty strange.
Very cool. Because usually when these people who've seen UAPs with symbols on them, they go, "Oh, they're Egyptian hieroglyphs. They look like Egyptian hieroglyphs." Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not that far of a leap.
No, not that much.
Yeah. So what really happened in Socorro on April 24th, 1964? Who knows? I think what happened is hard for us to say. I think what happened is more or less what Officer Lonnie Zamora saw. He saw something in the sky come down, land, get spooked by him, and take off. But let's just really briefly talk about the debunks and explanations for this case, because they're as stupid as they always are, and just really frustrating to hear. Philip J. Class, or as I like to call him, Philip J. Asshole.
Boo. Yeah, boo.
He visited. Yeah, fuck that guy. He visited Socorro several years later and claimed, with his sticky, greasy, smelly pockets, no doubt filled with cash from the CIA, that the entire event had been fabricated by the local government in order to promote tourism.
What an asshole.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of beef with Philip Class.
So wait, the city didn't say anything about that? That's like defamation. You know,
I can. There actually is. I don't. There's not a case for what Philip J. Klass is saying, but
yeah.
I get where he's pulling this from.
Mhm.
There's another skeptic named Stuart Campbell who can't spell his first name properly. This is another great explanation and why I fucking hate skeptics.
Uh-huh.
He believes that what Lonnie Zamora and other witnesses saw and heard was almost certainly a mirage of the star Canopus.
Star what?
A mirage of the star Canopus.
Man, I want to see mirages of stars like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it when stars come down and land on planet Earth, and
Maybe he means like a particle beam weapon from the star.
yeah,
I
right.
mean, yeah, like mind control. What star is he
No,
talking about? What is it?
Canopus.
Canopus
Canopus. Canopus.
star. Okay.
There's another skeptic named Robert Schaefer who can't spell his last name, so we got a lot of high quality individuals here. He said that the entire event was a hoax created by the students at New Mexico Tech, which
I've
is
read about that one. Yeah.
located in Socorro.
Yeah.
The university president at the time, this is actually a nice little interesting tidbit. The university president at the time, a man named Sterling Colgate, who is part of the Colgate family, like the toothpaste people.
Oh my God.
Just a fun little tidbit.
Yeah.
He supported this theory, and he believed that the craft that Officer Zamora saw was a candle in a balloon, nothing sophisticated.
Very cute.
Yeah, so these are real people, and they get their names listed next to all of these. Anytime you read, especially if you go to like some website like Wikipedia, they're always going to list all of the debunks, and they're going to list these people's names like they have the exact same amount of knowledge and know-how as people who actually study UFOs and UAPs. It's absurd.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you remember, eons ago, I began talking about this article. I was talking about the weirdness of UAPs and the woo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at first glance, Socorro seems like a pretty standard nuts and bolts case. And yeah, I mean, I get that. Oops, sorry.
Oops.
Yeah, I mean, it crafts, it made sound, it landed, it shot fire out, and it shot back up in the air. I mean, that sounds pretty nuts and bolts to most people. And I understand that.
Yep.
But doing all this research here, my sci-fi brain went in a different direction. I'm pretty open to my beliefs. I've said on the show multiple times, but I'll just repeat it again really quick. I believe humans are half the phenomenon when it comes to UAPs. For whatever reason, the entities use our subconscious, not specifically the person that sees the event, but all of human subconscious. They mold themselves into something into our 3D realm using that information they get from our subconscious. So, for example, when Zeppelins were just getting off the ground, people were seeing cigar-shaped UFOs. Scars are shaped like Zeppelins, right?
Flying ships.
Centuries before that, just like you said, when we didn't have any kind of air travel and everyone knew long distance by way of the ocean, by masted ships, when people were seeing UFOs back then, they would see flying, nautical ships in the air.
So bizarre.
And then what we covered a few months back when we were talking about UFOs through the ages, a couple years after 1784, when the Montgolfier brothers performed the first hot air balloon flight, guess what crashed in the French countryside? A UAP shaped like a big balloon, right?
Surprise.
Yeah. What was going on in the United States smack in the middle of the 1960s?
Apollo.
Yeah, the Apollo program. And everyone knows that culminated with the placement of the red, white, and blue flag on the lunar surface on July 20th, 1969. So
hell yeah, Patriots.
5 years after this. And if you don't have a good mental image in your head, looks like Adam's got it up on the screen, the Apollo lunar lander. Now, it's not perfect, but if you compare this to what we just talked about, we've got a big oval kind of shape with 4 legs sticking off the side of it, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. But as we know, UAPs, they never do a great one-to-one recreation of human technology.
Yeah,
it's always a little off, little weird, right? And then if you could play that video of the Apollo 17 taking off from the lunar surface, that would be helpful too. So it should be right below that there, yeah.
Oh yeah, this famous footage right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
as you can see, you're going to see a little burst of flame there right in the middle of the craft you're looking at here. Yeah. And then it goes straight up. Now, this is eerily, in my mind, similar to what Lonnie Zamora described. He, of course, did not talk about the object splitting off into two, but same
No.
kind of deal where there's little flame on the bottom, and obviously this is less flame than what he described. But I think there's enough parallels there to be like, okay, this thing is trying to ape us a little bit.
Right. It's something familiar now in the current
Yeah.
time, something like that. Especially the clunk clunk, the
Mhm.
flame. No flame here. But yeah, I mean, it is eerily similar. It was just there. It's lying on also protruding
4 legs,
things.
yeah.
Yeah. And then lifts up into the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the thing that Zamora said then just took off laterally, which this doesn't have which this can't do.
Correct.
But it's still, like you said, it's manipulating whoever the observer is into something that's maybe familiar. Maybe they're trying to cloak themselves, but they can't do it right or something like that. Because maybe they were panicking.
I mean,
I don't know.
This is the woo we're talking about here, right?
Yeah. Right.
Again, like astronauts, they're not wearing white coveralls, but they are wearing big white suits, right?
They are.
And what are the beings that he saw outside of the craft wearing white suits? There's enough there where I go, okay, well, they're trying, in true intelligence, we can't understand form. They're either, I don't know if they're breaking into our reality or this is a way to try and communicate with us, but they're using some sort of thing from
cloaking.
Collective from our collective unconscious to make their way into our reality.
Yeah, which is why they're these events are always strange, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's familiar. It's the uncanny valley where it's familiar, but it's just weird enough to make you go like, "What the hell?"
Exactly. It does seem like some kind of psyop to protect them. Of course, it might be a weapon.
Yeah,
that they use.
So all in all, this is an incredible case. And Officer Lonnie Zamora experienced something otherworldly, but thanks to his honesty, bravery, and role as an upstanding police officer, this event would become well documented, studied, and believed in. And despite all the blowback he would originally would receive, he summed up his experience like this: "If they want to believe me, good. If they don't want to believe me, that's all right too."
What a cool guy! What a swell guy!
Swell guy. And this is where the whole Philip J. Klass explanation comes into it. And this is where I'm saying I can understand where he's coming from if you look at this at surface value and don't do any kind of research into it.
Mm-hmm.
So the community of Socorro now celebrates this event. In fact, 2 years after this, in 1966, Socorro's Chamber of Commerce developed the site of Lonnie Zamora's experience. They put the platform there where people could go and take pictures and yada, 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 right?
Yeah.
So that's where I think Philip J. Klass's explanation comes from.
I mean, all these cities do that, I think every single one that had an event will take advantage. Cities always need money, so yeah. I mean, I get his side, but I also get the side of the city as well.
And if you don't do any research, you don't look into Lonnie Zamora, you don't look into all the other people involved, the FBI, the Air Force, sure, that's a good explanation or whatever, but. Also, what I found interesting, so in 1966, they built this attraction on the side of the road or wherever, but they didn't build it where actually Lonnie Zamora saw this. They built it a quarter mile away because there were rumors of radiation at the site where this thing had landed.
No way.
Yeah.
So if there's definitely radiation, then that's the DOE.
So that's the thing. I couldn't find if there was actually radiation. I could only find that there were rumors about radiation.
Interesting. Well, I wonder if the Black Vault. He probably has so much on Zamora, maybe.
And then beyond that, there's a dedicated web page on the city's website where you can read about Lonnie Zamora and the incident. And then in 2012, the city commissioned a local artist named Erica Burley to paint a mural to commemorate the event. So
very cool.
Yeah, they seem to like it. And I for sure do want to stop there when we go around the world to go check out
hell yeah
UAP stuff. But yeah, there's another photo of Lonnie Zamora there. Seems like a nice enough guy. But yeah, like I think I mentioned at the top, he did get ridiculed pretty heavily. And I think it was about 3 or 4 years after this happened, he quit and he ended up going to work at a gas station. But there's interviews with him. I believe he died in 2009. Seemed like a really good guy.
Yeah, let's listen to some interviews so we can get a taste for what kind of guy he was.
Absolutely.
Let's hear the story from him as well. Definitely such a cool case, classic case. Like you said, everyone was involved. You had the Air Force involved. Project Blue Book was involved. NICAP was involved. So many investigators. Hynek, Valet. Hynek was so upset with what the military did. Apparently, after this case, that's when he flipped and became an independent investigator.
Yeah, actually, one of the sources I used for this case is NICAP. You can go to their website, and there's a bunch of stuff about Lonnie Zamora and this case, including photos that I did not include in my article. Yeah, they actually did get a photo of the dynamite shack. So,
so really cool case, and I just love the whole insignia thing about that. There's another angle that was something to do with Rosicrucians. Did you read that one I sent you? It was really woo. Something to do with rituals, Rosicrucians.
Oh, I briefly decided not to include it just because it would have been too off the path I was trying to write.
Yeah. It's maybe we'll include it for people to read on. All right, but let's listen to Zamora here. This is one of the earliest interviews he did on the radio. Let's hear it from his mouth. And I think he sounds very sincere, and definitely something happened because he uses the same words too, and you'll see.
And welcome him with their car horns. Mr. Zamora, after coming upon this object, just what did happen?
I went up that little road for about half a mile, I guess. Came up to this little barking deal there on the side of the road, and I sort of glanced out of the window, looked to my left, and seen this white object on the ground. So I thought it might be a car that had turned over. So I was in a real big hurry going out there to investigate. Thought maybe somebody would be hurt. That time I saw this white egg-shaped looking object.
It looked something like an egg, you mean?
Yeah, from the distance I was, it looked like an egg to me.
About the size of a car, I think someone said.
Yes, sir, it looked like a car had turned over. That's why I say it's the size of a car.
And did it have any kind of markings on it of any kind that you noticed?
Yes, it did. Not from that far, I didn't see the markings. When I went up closer to it, I did see the markings.
And someone said that the markings that you saw was an upside-down V with 3 lines running through it.
No, sir, I couldn't tell you that because they still wanted.
What did he say there? Is he not answering them? Is he saying like he can't talk about it?
Yes, and this is the exact same interview I was talking about during the article. This is where he goes, no, sir, I can't tell you that. They told me not to say anything about that.
Holy shit.
Say nothing about markings.
They don't want you to say anything about the markings. All right, we won't question you on that. And if we run into an area that they don't want you to talk about, well, you just say so. And this happened about 5:30 Friday afternoon.
It happened about 5:50, about 10 minutes to 6.
About 10 minutes to 6. And you did place a call in to Sergeant Tavis of the State Police to come on out and help you with the investigation.
As soon as I saw this object, I didn't know what it was. I placed a call to Sergeant Tavis of the State Police. Told him if he would come out there and help me on this. He said, yes, I'll be right there in about a few minutes.
And he arrived just about 2 or 3 minutes after the object had taken off and left.
Well, the object was still about a couple of months up there whenever he arrived.
Right. Still, that's the direction it went. It went over the top of the mountain, and we've heard several reports that it flew low, like it was dragging something, and we've heard some...
It was very low to the ground. At the time I was seeing it, it was very low to the ground, up to the perlite mill there, and then it started gaining altitude.
Now, also, it was reported to me that when you first drove up into this area and sighted this object, that the motors were running and it was going bzz, 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 or some such sound as that. Is that correct?
I couldn't say because it happened so fast. I started running. I was scared.
Well, I don't blame you. There's thoughts of it even scares me yet. Now, you did say that you saw two what appeared to be people dressed in white uniforms with, did they have helmets on like spacemen or anything?
No, sir, I wouldn't say they were people. I saw something white coverall. That's what I could say.
They looked like they were something in white coverall.
Right.
But you couldn't identify them as actually being a human being as you and I are.
No, sir, I couldn't.
You didn't know whether they turned and saw you or what then?
Well, I would say that this white object turned and saw me. Yes.
Were there two of them?
I would say there were two because one was in front and the other object was in back.
Did you have a chance to notice what kind of a doorway they had to this object, this flying object?
Didn't notice any doors, no.
And when it took off, it made a loud roaring sound. Is that?
That very loud noise, roar sound.
And then after it got up in the air about 20 feet, the sound seemed to disappear.
The sound was...
It seems the interviewer is leading a little bit, or Zamora doesn't like talking, so because Zamora is quiet, so the interviewer is like trying to get stuff out of him.
Yeah, no, that's the impression I got, is that Lonnie Zamora, not a very talkative guy. Again, always described as sober, right?
Yeah,
cool,
I like it.
Cool, calm, collected, not the type to make something bigger than it was. And so that's, especially when listening to his interviews, that's definitely the impression I get as well.
Yeah, and not making any conclusions. So
exactly.
I get why he's a strong part of the case.
Yeah.
There's another interview.
It was very, very quiet. You could hear a pin drop there.
And now the markings that left on the ground. Now, the reports that I have had, and I haven't had a chance to go and take a look, and the winds yet probably spoiled a lot of that anyway, was that they were deep indentations in the ground, approximately 10 inches wide and 6 to 8 inches deep.
Wow, 6 to 8 inches deep. So that's how deep they were. So that thing was heavy.
That's interesting. The FBI file said 2 inches deep.
Oh, okay. So 2 inches is still something heavy.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, especially you got to remember this is the desert. It's not soft sand.
Exactly. Yeah, really cool.
About 15 feet apart. Is that a correct report?
Well, I would say it was about 19 feet apart of the prints.
And were there any other prints, like footprints around the area right after the takeoff or when you were making the investigation?
There were some prints, but I wouldn't know if there were footprints or anything, just prints, I would say.
You couldn't identify them as actually being a footprint, just indentations like maybe somebody might have walked there or somebody might have walked there.
Somebody walked around there because when I got there was nobody around there yet.
Now, there was, according to a report on one of the news, the television stations in Albuquerque, claimed that they had a call just about 5:30 in Albuquerque of a sighting of a flying object flying in this direction. Did you hear anything about that?
No, sir, I didn't.
Which, if that be true, means that someone in Albuquerque saw this object flying in this direction just prior to your sighting it. And which corroborates the fact that there was something here. Now, it's the feeling, I get the feeling, at least Lonnie, as with the people that I've talked to and that were out in the area, that they are quite sure that something landed there and something took off from this spot because of not only the imprints that it left in the ground, but the fires that it started and the method of which the fire or the power that it was, whatever it was using, kind of spread itself as it took off. Is that right?
Right. I know there was something out there because I seen it.
And what was your immediate reaction as soon as you realized that this thing might be an object from outer space?
Well, I didn't think it would be an object from outer space because I don't believe in things like this from outer space.
Well, it was something that you had never seen before, and it was enough to scare you to run in the other direction.
Well, what scared me was the loud noise and the flame that it had under it.
It had a large flame then as it took off. Was it a yellow flame or?
There was a bluish orange flame. I thought this object was going to blow up. That's what I started running back.
And did you notice whether these arms?
That's so crazy. That yeah. So like you said, he thought it was going to blow up, and that's why he ran away.
Right. I think a lot of this interview is a really good indicator of kind of what you said. Is he's not someone to jump to conclusions. The guy goes, "When did you think it was? When did you notice it was a UFO or think it was a UFO?" He goes, "I never did. I'm not someone who believes in and things like that." But another point I want to bring up that I have found very contradictory in this case when I've been reading reading from different sources is the whole footprints thing. Like he said there, and again, I think this is just a Lonnie Zamora special. They go, well, what about the footprints? He goes, I don't know if I saw any footprints. And that's because, again, he's not supposing they are footprints. He's just looking at marks in the ground, not trying to make a guess as to what they may or may not be. Whereas it seems like some of the other people involved did consider the footprints, whether it was the guy, I think it must have been the FBI agent who sketched out the landing site, calling them footprints in quotes, or it's the Officer Jordan who said, yeah, we had photographs of the footprints, whereas Zamora goes, oh, there were no footprints, there are marks on the ground. I think that's where a lot of the contention comes from here.
And I don't think it's a different one. And then there's one more that's newer as well. I think it was in the 70s, so these are still from the 60s.
And equally deep, perhaps running to the center and away. Was that the description that was accurate on this?
Well, probably a little deeper on the south side. I mean, the north side of the way it landed. From his description, the front of the plane, or the object, I put it that way, was facing south. And the way it landed on uneven ground, there seems to be a heavy indentions on the south side, which indicates that more of the weight was there.
Yes, this would be logical to me because, as I recall from being there this morning, the south side is downhill. I mean, it kind of slants upward to the north, so there might actually be more weight on the south side if it were an object balancing, sitting on these legs. Was this your observation too?
Yes.
Now I hear there were two little indentations off to one side, to the west side, sort of parallel with with one of the lines made by two of the four legs. Did you see these two indentations yourself?
Yes, I did. And someone in the crowd, while it was on the floor, one of them made a remark that it possibly footprints.
So he mentioned footprints there, but he said like someone found the footprints. I guess he's saying he didn't see them.
Well, he said possibly footprints.
Right, possibly footprints. Yeah, and same thing with the FBI too, because they don't really look like footprints, right? It's like possibly. Or
footprints that we would understand them to be.
Right, yeah.
Because I mean, going back to there's so many cases where you're right, they're described as moving on roller skates or skis or something. I mean, what kind? And those are leaving marks. It's just it's woo.
Yeah, it's definitely woo. Here, this is the one I wanted. This is the newer one. You said he passed away in 2009?
I believe it was 2009. Yes.
Okay.
And
there he is.
Road about a half a mile, and then I stopped my car and got out and looked out, and I could see a white looking object in the distance. I thought it was an overturned car at first, but I got into my patrol car and went up closer to it. And when I started to get out of the car, I heard a big roar. As I got to it, I could see looked like a couple of coveralls hanging from a clothesline. I couldn't see what it was. Looked like a couple of coveralls.
Zamora called in. He sounded very excited. He said he watched an object lift up slowly and disappeared into the sky very fast. I went down to where the object had been, and I noticed the brush was burning in several places. The object had left 4 perpendicular impressions on the ground.
Ooh.
I noticed several bushes were smoldering, but they felt cold to the touch. I noticed what appeared to be a couple of oval footprints on the ground. I knew Lonnie had seen something. The proof was right there.
The incident was very interesting.
Hi, Nick.
At least.
Mm-hmm.
It was to differ from practically all the earlier cases we investigated from one standpoint. The vehicle had left pod marks. There was an insignia observed by Lonnie Zamora on the side of the craft. The insignia was unidentifiable, not American nor Russian. And last of all, the observation of these two people in some sort of suit.
But what did the investigation turn up? What was the official Air Force estimation of the situation?
We went over the case completely. We had soil samples tested at the Air Materials Laboratory. The burnt bushes were analyzed for propellant residue. We measured the distances between the pod marks. My first reaction was that it was a lunar test module from NASA or the Air Force.
Huh.
That seems to be the only logical explanation. This was probably the best documented case in the Air Force files, and I checked it out everywhere, all the way up to the top, even to the White House command post, and nothing.
According to the official status of the sighting of Lonnie Zamora, case carried as unidentified, pending additional data.
Huh. Very, very interesting that he also brought in the lunar. That guy's from the Air Force, right?
He was the head of Project Blue Book at the time of this.
Oh.
In fact, I believe we mentioned him in...
He's not Holt. Is he not Holt?
No. We mentioned him in one of my last articles too, I believe.
Not Ruppelt. Is it Ruppelt?
No. Hold on.
Because Ruppelt was Blue Book. He was head of Blue Book. I don't know if that time.
When we were Exeter, I believe he was the... I mentioned him in Exeter. I believe he was the head of Project Blue Book at the time. Let me see if I can find that really quick.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like Ruppelt. I saw his name here. Where'd it go?
It's like Montecchio or something. It's something. It's a very interesting last name.
So all right. I mean, at least they didn't try hard to. I mean, it's a logical conclusion that he's come to. It's like, it's either alien, and if it's one of ours, it's a lunar module.
Yeah,
being tested.
Which I mean, again, I think that's probably where I got that thought in my head from, because it is very reminiscent of the Apollo lunar lander. Yeah, no, definitely, I can see that. I can totally see that. Oh, the word Hector, Vontanilla, via something via. Anyway, U.S. Air Force. Man, I could have, because I remember seeing that name and I was like, man, I'm pretty sure that's the same guy. And I never went and checked, and I just ended up not including him in my article because it's just another name that doesn't add a whole lot to the story. Well, really cool. Sightings also did, of course, they did a documentary on it. I mean, it'll just rehash everything that we've gone into. So I don't think it's worth it. Is there anything with Zamora? Because these came out in the 90s, so he was alive when they No, I know this is one of those things I just kind of reading between the lines. I don't think he ever said this, but it seemed like he had a lot of there's a love-hate thing with the whole situation. Not less love and more just begrudging, like, man, I really wish I hadn't said anything, which seems to be a really common theme. It happened with Exeter. It happened with the Falcon Lake. The people who are involved, they get screwed. UAPs ruin lives. Unfortunately, I mean, we thank them for it, because then we wouldn't have any of this data, right? And it looks like a sacrifice with a lot of these people. Mm-hmm. So is this him when he's old? Am I looking at the YouTube? Oh wait, sorry. I was gonna say, because that's the.
I had to come real slow because this was a messed up road, had big rocks on it and everything. I thought it was the kids from the high school there. Oh, yeah. Were racing up here. And then maybe one of the teenagers had turned over.
When the speeding object came to a stop, Zamora claims that he saw two figures in white coveralls emerge from a strange white UFO. He moved in slowly.
I came up here on this road till I could find a flat spot where I could park my car.
I mean, yeah, it could have been a secret space program. You know, if you just take out, if we locked, you know, basically understood anti-gravity, which lots of researchers say in the 50s, you know, that's 10 years after that. And, you know, they could have had their own parallel program. They were testing it. I mean, white sands is right there.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's just so, yeah.
The problem with the anti gravity stuff is this craft obviously used some sort of propulsion, which
I mean, yes, just to get up to an altitude and then use, like, it sounds like they're almost there where they're not really, you know, or it looks like that it's still kind of human, where it has to get up to some type of altitude first and then use whatever propulsion they were using before, and the sounds and so, you know, those could have been just human astronauts, but, you know, tiny people. I don't know if
I mean,
astronauts
that's the other thing is, I mean, astronauts, I think there is a size limit on astronauts.
There is, right?
You can't have a 6'8" guy up in space.
No,
take up the whole thing. You want short, you want short cosmonauts.
Yes, just like the Air Force too, like the F-16s and F-18 pilots, they have to be shorter. You know, just like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, all 5'2" of them.
Yeah, so I think it's a good conclusion, but I'm not saying that it might have not been NHI.
Yeah,
but
no, I mean, truthfully, if this was human made, I mean, that's exactly where I would put my money. I put it in. This was a test craft for, you know, in preparation for the lunar landing, you know, or something along those lines. But the fact that they went out of their way to disprove that was the case is truly bizarre, unless it's a double bluff, which I don't know. I mean, our government in the 60s would just openly lie. They wouldn't do all the secret.
Yeah. And this is after they shot JFK.
Yeah.
Right. A few years after.
11/22/63. Yeah. It was after JFK.
So a few years. Yeah. So our government's already, you know, taken over.
Yeah.
Interesting case in the 60s. Definitely love it. Yeah, I'd love to go visit Socorro, New Mexico, just to see what, you know. You said it's like a quarter mile away, you said, from the real site.
The actual site, yeah. So I'm pretty sure we could pay a local to take us to the real one.
All right, cool, man. Well, good job on that. Definitely a really fun case.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if I said it. If anyone wants to check out the article that we just covered, it's on my Substack. That's Topher LS at Substack, and you guys can find it there, along with the other articles I've written that we've covered on this show.
Absolutely. We always keep putting it into the show notes. I saw Nick also commented on your new article.
Yeah, it was great, man. I'm loving the support.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of good writing as well. He puts the articles on X though, instead of Substack. Yeah, so he's doing a disclosure one. That's gonna be his most recent one, and we're gonna meet up with him not next week, but the week after, and we'll go over his article and what he thinks about disclosure. Yeah, really cool. So, as we leave that in the 60s behind, we are now in 2026, still fighting for disclosure and transparency and the truth.
Yeah, it's been kind of a sad couple days for the whole UAP movement.
Right, yeah. But on June 9th, Mr. Grush and others are doing a press conference, and they are going to push for evidence. So push for UAP, UFO, transparency intensifies as members of Congress and whistleblowers call for release of groundbreaking, conclusive files. So Grush is in the background here, but he knows because he saw the files, right, and saw the evidence, which was part of his ICIG complaint. But he's going to basically they're going to push for an executive order and exactly what files and where to go, not just within the government, but contractors, FFRDs as well, which are the federally funded labs. So that's what we need, right? I mean,
yes,
I think
definitely.
Yeah, what we want proof of is what Grush came out to tell us, right? That we have crafts, we're doing reverse engineering, and some of these crafts have had biological NHI in them.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I'm waiting to see.
Exactly. So here in the press release, they're going to do it on the U.S. Capitol on Tuesday, June 9th at 1 p.m. And it's a call to action on behalf of the American people. UAP whistleblower David Grush, a highly credentialed former intelligence officer who has testified under oath before Congress, will discuss specific UAP and non-human intelligence-related evidence he encountered in deeply classified channels. Grush will explain why these records should now be reviewed and publicly released consistent with legitimate national security protections. Quote, President Trump now has an historic opportunity. This press conference is about moving from testimony to action. Let the American people judge the facts for themselves, said Grush.
Hell yeah.
This unique press event comes amid an initial declassification directive by President Trump. Yeah, we all know about that. 1 billion users to the government website. The event will feature remarks from Representative Eric Burleson and Jared Moskowitz and Anna Paulina Luna, Tim Burchett, of course, with additional participants to be announced. It will be hosted by investigative journalist Leslie Keane and documentary filmmaker James Fox. Very cool.
So just to be clear, he's not he's just going to be talking about the stuff that he saw. He's not actually going to be released. He's not bringing anything to release, right?
Correct. He's not going to release anything, no. But he's trying to guide, and as we can see with what Burleson is doing, right? He is in the shadows or in the background, helping with this, and that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
because the CIA is going to fight, the NSA is going to fight. Looks like the FBI is doing a good job, actually, but that's because they just listen to Trump, which is good. Maybe that's why it's good to have yes men, right?
yeah, exactly. That's one way to look at it. Well, no, this is
not to fight you.
This is a good step in the right direction.
It is, and Burleson is also doing this, which we've talked about, but he's really going after these companies. In this latest tweet on X, he says federally funded research and development centers occupy a unique position of public trust. These entities often receive privileged access to federal facilities, U.S. government programs, activities, classified information, sensitive data, personnel, and government-funded research. They cannot become private vaults for federal records, especially records Congress has directed to be identified, preserved, reviewed, and transferred for public release.
Agreed. But I mean, this is just another version of like the Panama Papers, right? Where I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Where this is how the government hides their stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is. They'll find any loophole to get around accountability and transparency. You know, it's like because secrecy is just so profitable.
Yes.
So and then
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. So MITRE replied back to Burleson. This is according to UAP News on X. MITRE confirms it's reviewing archives after Representative Eric Burleson demanded records on UAP's crash retrievals, reverse engineering programs, and technologies of unknown origin, dating back to the 1930s.
Nice.
The 10-page request cites whistleblower claims that secret UAP materials have been hidden inside private defense contractor networks to evade congressional oversight. Lockheed, Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and others are specifically mentioned. MITRE now has 45 days to produce unclassified records. Unclassified? I mean, I guess that's obvious.
Yeah. Well, you know, again, I think this is a step in the right direction. Obviously, there are people who care as much as we do, you know, about this subject and who can see the blatant corruption that's happening in our government. And I'm glad, you know, like I said, I'm a pessimist. I doubt anything will come from this. At the end of the day, you know, they'll do what they always do. National security, and they go, well, even though it is national security, we told you to do this. Like, no, it's you don't get it. It's super secret, double national security.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing can get this secret out. And you know, Burleson keeps saying he's a skeptic as well. I think that's why he's a good candidate to lead this effort.
Yeah,
it shows the seriousness of this and how deep the knowledge goes. Like they are going to the right places, not just, you know, to the normal agencies that we have. DOE should be next. You know, that's where this stuff is really in there. DARPA, you know, they really need to look at DARPA. I don't know if that's on the list. And what's that? The geospatial, you know, the one satellites in space.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember what it's called, but
where Grush used to work. So this show is as serious in this. It's a battle. It's going to be a battle. You know there are bureaucrats in those agencies that don't want to release this data.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
anything that challenges the power, the status quo, that allows these people to keep having power, they're going to fight it and fight it and fight it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're one who just believes in like the benevolence of human governments, especially the U.S. government, maybe they're just protecting us, right, from abductions. It's so horrific that these things can abduct us at any time, but they are keeping check on the aliens and making sure they don't abduct us, right? I mean, is imagine they can run with that storyline.
Sure.
And there are people who said that. There's a clip queued. One of the guys who worked for DARPA said something like that. Yeah.
But again, I mean, if they're keeping us safe, if they're going to use that excuse, you have to give us proof that you're keeping us safe.
Yes.
You can't say, I'm keeping you, I've got this gun pressed to your head because I'm keeping you safe. And you go, well, who are you keeping me safe from? And they go, well, I can't tell you. It's too dangerous for me to know. It's like, well, that's nothing.
Dude, yes, you're right. And if that was really true, the government would have jumped on this a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
For sure.
It's the opposite.
For sure.
Our friend, Mr. Corbell.
Mr. Jeremy Jiu-Jitsu in my Cybertruck Corbell, as I like to call him.
He is pretty passionate right here. He's a passionate guy.
Yeah, definitely.
I haven't seen Sober Dogs yet. Have you?
No, and I'm not going to. I have no interest in watching a documentary about Jeremy Corbell. I'm sorry.
Did you see that one clip where he has a camera on the floor looking up? I think he's practicing for one of these clips. Basically, he's practicing what he's going to say in front of a mirror. And it's capturing from underneath. Dude, I'm going to send it to you. It is.
I mean, that's fine. Kind of, like I've been in interviews where like you prep talk. I've never
I know
doing it.
But it's like it's the same thing as Bob Lazar's video where it was a lot of him being filmed, going through whatever he was going through at the time. But I guess for this one, it's this specific documentary. It is really about him.
No, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right. All right. So here he's basically saying the White House, and I believe this is true because he's not the only one who's saying this, but we can see it that they're reaching out across the aisle. You can see what the way Fox News is reporting. You can see Neil deGrasse Tyson all of a sudden is in on this. So the government has reached out to a lot of people saying, listen, we need help with this. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
You say that the communications department of the White House reached out to you. What did they want?
Yes. Well, actually, I've been reached out to comms departments from not just the Pentagon, not just the White House, not just all the different intelligence agencies you can name. They were scrambling to figure out to be the smartest person in the room to find out if our president does make an announcement, whatever he says they need to be ahead of, as they say, ahead of the 8 ball, right?
Right. So what are they asking specifically?
They want to know how to transmit this information to the American public, the fundamentals. We are not alone or whatever it might be. How do you describe? You have to define the terminology. You also have to say why you've kept this hidden for so many years, who you've hurt to keep it hidden. Why would you hold this back? The nature of reality from humankind. Why would you do it? So the comms people were trying to figure out how to look like heroes.
I love that what he said. I was going to make fun of him, but what he said at the end there was I was like, yes, dude, yes.
Yeah, that's the thing about Jeremy Corbell, and that's why I think he sticks around is because he does it. Like I agreed with everything he just said. Like I understand what he just said there, and I mean, because you are going to have to. He's absolutely right. You are going to have to come up with those answers as to why now? Why are you only telling us now? And if you've been supposedly keeping us safe and all that.
Yeah. He does seem angry though, or annoyed. He's like, well, it wasn't just the White House. It was the FBI, the intelligence community. So they are scrambling. He's seeing it. He's seeing that they're scrambling in the government.
Yeah, I just took that. See, I went the other way on that. That part annoyed me because I go, oh, okay, he's making himself more important than he thinks he is.
Yeah, as usual, because that's what he did in the other interview. He's like, no, it was like this.
Yeah.
Spielberg, I can't wait for his movie. I don't care if it's propaganda or part of the psyop. I don't give a shit. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I just because where I'm at now. Well, you know what? I will be in the States when this movie comes out. Maybe I will get a chance to see it.
Hell yeah. IMAX should be really fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I love film. Spielberg, I don't know if he's ever missed. I like his stuff.
Agreed. Yeah, we talked about this last week. I think AI would have been much better, if it wasn't Spielberg. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah, he doesn't miss, especially with this subject. Although, see, he did the aliens in AI are fucking amazing. I love the concept of them because they were just conscious beings.
Were
or
they
spiritual
aliens? I
beings.
thought they were supposed to be super
Yeah.
advanced robots.
Well, they didn't have a form. There was
Because
no
they were
form.
super advanced, I thought. I haven't
I don't know.
Admittedly, I
No.
haven't seen the movie in years.
Oh,
but
no, they're definitely beings.
I remember them being just like super advancent robots.
Yeah, they were very bad. There was nothing robotic about them because the way they moved, and it was all consciousness. They were consciousness beings, and they would make the craft around them as well, and it would just break off. Very cool. And of course, they had to recreate the environment for the kids. So yeah, probably. I don't think Kubrick would have done a good job with the alien side, or maybe he would have. I don't know. But let's hear Spielberg here. He brings up a point that we're all discussing these days about disclosure.
How do you think the world would react to a disclosure day? Is kind of like the hope that is in the film one that you believe, or is it one that you kind of yearn for?
No, I was yearning for it when I made Close Encounters, but when I made Disclosure Day, I believed it. That's the difference. And also, one of the things that compelled me to sit down and write this story before collaborating with David Kepler of the screenplay. What started the whole thing was the idea that it is kind of like a proposition. If the unknown is known by a very few, but not everybody, the inequity of that is what first got me to sit down and start writing the story. But the consequences, whether it's unintended or not, the consequences of a real full disclosure is going to have to take into consideration the social dislocation, the essentially, the trauma, and all the questions, theological questions that are going to come up. There's this, I'm not giving too much away, but there's a scene where Keith Hewson, who plays Jane, says, I was raised to believe in a supreme being, and now you're going to show us actual supreme beings. She says, the world can't handle both. And she really believes that. So I think it's not an easy decision to make, whoever eventually is going to make it.
Yeah, so there's the theological question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to be, asking about their faith and their religion when it's proven true that there's extraterrestrial beings or whatever other NHI from this disclosure effort. Really cool. He's saying that now he believes it. He said it before in another interview that now he believes this. When he did Closer Encounters, he said, "Oh, wouldn't that be nice if it's true?" And now with Disclosure Day, he's like, "It is fucking true."
Right.
Yeah, and getting it out there. She's a great actress.
Emily Blunt. Yeah, she's great.
She's English, right? She's not American.
She's a Brit. Yeah,
she's a Brit. All right, what else do we have here? Are we going
to talk about aliens.gov, or at least touch on that really quick?
Oh, we could. Yeah, I mean, because it's political and so stupid, right? What they did.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
Tell us. Give us a
well,
summary.
It was just a big ol', I don't even know, bait and switch by our government. It turned into
so stupid.
It's making fun of us for believing in aliens, because it's a tracker website for illegal aliens, of course.
So dumb, man. It was the White House. The White House that did it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just beyond frustrating. Thank God war.gov is, actually still releasing stuff. But I mean, the whole point seems like to take the wind out of our sails about all of this UAP stuff, and it's just beyond frustrating to see.
It just shows you how there's a war going on, even within the government, right? I mean, it's not a monolith, and so people are. The whole thing of like registering aliens.gov at the same time so it's like a counter intel operation happening within the government.
Yeah, it sure feels that way. Yeah, I mean, the timing is suspect with everything that's going on right now. Of course, everyone has been clamoring for UFO, UAP news for years, and here we are finally getting some. And what does the government do? They try to turn it into a huge joke.
Such assholes. Look at
Yeah,
this. They're like,
they
oh,
really-
look at this UFO lifting an illegal alien
Yeah, I mean,
over
it's just
over the wall, which was never built.
it's just so
So
sickening.
low. It is.
It
It's
is
so-
low.
Yeah, they're just, this administration is like that. It's cringe.
Yeah, it is cringe.
They walk among us. Alien arrest map live. I mean, come on. Yes, good job. I'm gonna give it to them. They did close the borders. It was a nightmare during Biden. Absolutely a nightmare. Just so scary. All these millions coming in and taking over towns, and they really were, and just giving cell phones and hundreds of billions of dollars and hotels and like 5-star hotels, and putting them in communities where people are living paycheck to paycheck, and it was like such a nightmare. So
It was so telling for me and for a lot of people when they got bussed up to
yeah,
in
New York. Wait, not New York, where
No,
Obama lives too.
Yeah. It's got a goofy name. It's like, it's not St. Mary's. What am I thinking? It
Something like
doesn't-
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they had to call the National Guard to help them remove it. And it's just like, well, I thought this is what you wanted. No borders, right?
Yes, they called the National Guards. That's right. It was so hypocritical.
Yeah.
So hypocritical. Who said? I think Texas sent them.
Yeah. Anyway, we don't have to dive way into it, but it's really frustrating at this point in the game to see this kind of bullshit.
Yeah, always. Hopefully, I mean, people have moved on, but it was such a cheap shot. It really
Yep.
was on both subjects. So here's Burleson, not Burleson, Burchett, and he's basically saying he has conversations with Trump daily, right, on the UFO UAP thing. So he's
Mhm.
talking about that here. He's not, just like you, he's a skeptic that nothing's going to come out, and that's probably the right conclusion.
Yeah, to be clear, not a
Looking at
skeptic about
history.
UAPs, a skeptic about trusting the government.
Disclosure. Right. Yeah.
They say, oh, well, we're releasing it all. Well, the reality is they're not releasing it all. There's things that I've seen and people that I've talked to that don't have the clearance or the ability to come out and talk. And we've got to break through that. We've got to break through that. And I congratulate the president on his honesty to me, but as some of his top people have told me, that they're getting a lot of resistance. And he said, what do you think it is? I said, Mr. President, I really honestly don't know the answer to that. I said, but I think we need to know. And I think you're the president to do it.
Yep.
And he is. I mean, if they don't kill him first, he's going to turn the tables on this thing.
Yeah, and I also heard that what he's doing, or what the administration is doing, is like they're trying to feel the pain points within the agencies. So they're going to keep pushing and pushing until they really see the pushback, where the pushback is on what issues, right? So that's also what they're doing.
Well, all this stuff, conversations like that. Oh, they're waiting to see, where the pushback is. It always sounds like, and Trump's got a great marketing team because it's always like, oh, he's playing 4D chess and all this other stuff. And then it turns out it's complete opposite. He just has no idea what he's doing. So,
or he's trying to how to figure out how to make money out of it. His latest thing, right? It's probably his kids too.
Exactly. So anytime I hear like, oh, they're waiting to see where the pushback is, I'm like, no, I don't think that's. I mean, hopefully that's truly what's going on, and I do trust Burchett and I like the guy, but I don't know.
He's a good guy.
I'm very, very.
He's a bit naive though too. I mean,
yeah, see that, and that's what I think as well.
Yeah, especially and he has a soft spot for Trump, so he'll believe anything Trump tells him.
Yeah.
So here's that clip from Lieutenant or Dr. John Blitz. He's the one that also worked at DARPA. He was pretty high up there. He's the one that saw the praying mantis being in his bedroom. Yeah, this guy. So here he talks about that clip, and he's answering why he thinks Lou Elizondo and Grush haven't been killed.
Now, I think the reason why Lou Elizondo is still alive and the reason why Dave Grush is still alive is because the reverse engineering that has occurred over the past half a century or so, I think it is successful enough now that we being the military industrial complex, can protect a fairly significant portion of the populace from these abduction activities. Unfortunately, kind of like I mentioned with the killer bees, there's some collateral damage. They may be shooting down, we may be shooting down some of the good guys as well as some of the bad guys. And that's where we have to be very, very careful that we don't end up going the killer bee route rather than being honeybees in the galaxy. I know that was a long answer to a short.
Very cool. Oh wait, yeah. So I don't know. So he's saying that we possibly have advanced so much where we can protect humanity from abductions, but he's saying, I wish we don't just shoot everything up there, but just shoot the bad guys.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's one of those things like you have to know who the good guys and bad guys are.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I don't think they send out radio signals, like
No.
like our airplanes.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But who knows? I mean, it's one of those things. It's like going back to Penturk again. They had some sort of idea that something was going to be there, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
Do we know the good signals from the bad signals that we're getting from these craft?
Possibly. Wouldn't it be nice if they told us what's wrong for just? Wouldn't that be cool if people knew? Actually, people would love their government more. They would probably get more volunteers into the military, maybe even more scientists and engineers to figure this stuff out. Do you know what I mean? Like it would just. Why they want to keep people in this 1950s bubble?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean
makes no sense. Makes no sense.
Beyond frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the truth would be better. But it's just we have people who are so paranoid about having power for forever, right? For the entirety of the universe, and they can never go down. No one can ever be on top of them. I think that's what the thinking is. This is a paranoid, sociopathic.
Yeah, it's always what it comes down to, right? I mean, it's this. They keep going like, oh, the ontological shock, and if people knew, they'd freak out. And I think the real answer is if people knew, they would lose power, and that's the real reason. That's the ontological shock right there.
It is. It's for them. The ontological shock is like, oh, we're not the top predator. We're not the best thing in the past 100,000 years. No, you're not. Sorry. Even if you catch up.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, this is funny. So Falcon Space guys, they're serious scientists, and he knew. I think he was actually his girlfriend was Amy Eskridge. This guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so but real researcher. So he just proved that the bogosphere, or one of them, is a certified hoax.
Yeah.
He dug into it, or drilled into it, put in a fiber optic camera, and then they caught this thing.
I'm surprised they were allowed to do this.
I know. He said the guy tried to scare him. He's like, no, don't. It really hurt me when I did it. And he did it anyway.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's one thing we can take off the list of things to keep an eye out for. But this whole thing gained traction because there have been a number of stories about spheres that have been recovered and that act weird. They'll roll around the room without anyone touching them. They'll make noises and stuff. I think one of them was it the Boogosphere? I'm trying to remember. That's funny. I'm trying to remember the name of them all, but there have been stories about this, so I get why this got so much traction. But looking back, it's kind of like, ugh, how did I even waste time on this?
Right. I mean, especially the engravings, how imperfect they are, and I mean, it's a good piece of art. I mean, they really look. I mean, whoever did this went deep, right?
Yeah.
You're making something like this and putting it in the middle.
It takes a lot of effort.
It does. And these guys are true artists. But thanks to Falcon Space.
Yeah. Good job, guys. Good job.
Yeah. So there's that. Ooh, we can't talk about this. The volcano.
Oh yeah, this was super interesting. I don't remember which volcano it was or where though.
Mayon volcano is erupting. Mayon. I don't know what Mayon is. So if you saw, there was a meteorite that went down, but that's not the story here. So keep on watching. Let's see that again. So boom, and then just like out of a sci-fi movie.
It really is.
It's like War of the Worlds, because that's what hit the ground, and these things came. Oh, what the?
There it is.
There it is, dude.
Hi guys, I made it. Am I late to the party?
Yeah, exactly. and a UFO is born. And there it
Very
is.
cool, very cool footage. And
Yeah.
again, this is not
It
something.
truly
This
is.
is this was taken from a live TV camera, just pointed at a volcano. I don't know if how you can fake this.
Yeah, you definitely cannot.
Yeah.
Especially from. I mean, maybe you'd have to fake the meteorite as well that fell.
Sure.
It was like
yeah.
a movie. It was like
you
a
want to go
movie.
with
huh?
practical effects?
Just shoo, and exactly out of there comes out this thing. What?
Yeah. Very, very cool stuff. Love
yeah.
it.
Yeah, very cool. I think this praying mantis a survey of mantis entity encounter experiences. So
Yeah.
to anyone in the audience, if you've ever seen a praying mantis, there is a university, Greenwich University is in the EU, I think UK. They are doing a study on praying mantis.
Yeah.
So you should probably reach out and be part of this study if you've actually seen them.
If you have seen a mantis, first thing you do is you contact me or contact Adam. Let us know your story, and then second thing, go to this website so you can enter your story into this website so they can get the information as well. But again, we are the most important people that you need to tell first of all.
Yes,
so.
you have to go through us first. I will not include the link to this to this study.
You have to
come through
message
us first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I will give you the link.
Yeah.
So it has to go through us first, and I like that actually. We are the gatekeepers for mantis experiences.
Yeah, no, that's the last thing I want to do is be a UAP gatekeeper. That's not what UAP is about, man.
I know. This is fake, right? Obviously, you sent it to me, but I'm like,
I thought
of
it was
course he's
fun.
crouching.
I thought it was
Yeah.
really fun, but I do think, yes, this is nothing. But still, I love cryptids. I love weird stuff caught on cameras.
Look how he's moving. Of course he's moving like that. He wouldn't move any other
Yeah.
way.
I think this is one of two things. I think this is someone doing a really fun thing on camera just to pretend,
Right.
or this is like a crackhead or something sneaking around in the middle of the night.
Could be a crackhead.
Yeah.
Although it looks
Either-
like CGI, right?
No, it looks like a guy in like a body morph, like one of those,
yeah.
like skin suits or whatever they're called.
Yeah. All right, thanks for the entertainment, guys. And then I was shocked when Fox. So it's obvious the White House needs help with the messaging, and Fox News is just pushing everything about alien, and 4 different alien species from downed spacecraft in government custody. This is on Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
Just crazy to think about. That bananas that the mainstream. Okay, fine. People still make fun of Fox News, but still, it's mainstream news, and boomers are reading this, and many people are reading this, going, "What? All this is true?" They're going through the disclosure process, the NASA images, the videos, Dan Farah as well, who's out there. So,
I don't know. I mean, again, I think it's a net positive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't distrust Hal Puthoff that much, but to make a claim like this is pretty huge. And this is something he's been saying for a while, right?
Yes. I mean, Hal?
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't say species before. Those are all new now. I think because Eric Davis came out, and Eric Davis is his partner, or was his partner.
Okay.
Maybe he feels more comfortable talking about it.
I mean, but again, this is the stuff I want to see in the files. I don't care about flare footage. I want to see the 4 alien species that they pulled out of a wrecked UFO.
Did you see also in Disclosure Day, someone caught Jackie Gleason, the whole Jackie Gleason Nixon story. So
that's a fun one. For those who don't know, apparently Nixon and Jackie Gleason were hanging out, and he took Jackie Gleason and showed him an alien body or something, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. When they were golfing or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. Well, I don't want to end it on that because this is actually negative, and it's Yang talking about AI taking over jobs, 50% of jobs. But let's end it on a good note instead of
go on a high note. Even though AI does scare the hell out of me, and half the jobs I'm applying to these days are all training AI and they're fake jobs.
Yeah, and AI entry. Well, actually, I mean, maybe we should quickly talk about this. Congress quietly moves to integrate U.S. and Israeli militaries, which is scary as hell because that will put them into our. I mean, that means no secrets. So USAPs, waived unacknowledged SAPs, the UFO file, it will all be Israel's. And I don't know if I'm comfortable having a country like that in charge of such advanced technologies. They're not very benevolent. And
to be completely honest, I don't think. I mean, I think they already do have all of our most vital information when it comes to that subject.
No, man, they wouldn't spy on us. And Karyaku says it. They have 99% of our stuff, but that 1% they don't have is why they do espionage and go crazy and try to infiltrate our contractors. And it's that 1%, right? Which is probably the black budgets and stuff, which is ours. That's our national security and keeps us advanced.
This
does is very dangerous.
Let's be clear. It's not ours. It's not the American public's. It's the American elites. Yeah,
right.
We pay for it.
Right, we paid for it, and then they get to benefit from it.
Yeah.
So this is very dangerous, and I'm sure there's a lot of news out there about it. But get in touch with your representatives and say, why are we doing this and fusing Israel's military with our military? It's not like we don't give them enough, but once this happens, we can never go back. That's it, because it becomes part of the system. Like this whole aid thing that we want to stop aid, and that's why you have Netanyahu going, yeah, I want to get rid of the aid, and all the boomers saying that because they know this law is going to try to get passed, which will fuse them in there. And which means our military will just be used as like some legionary or
yeah, exactly. And then we can go continue. Not that we ever stopped. We can go continue fighting wars in the Middle East for Israel.
And because then if they're part of that, they'll have patents in there. They'll get to dictate our foreign policy. They're like, oh wait, you can't sell that weapon to this country because it has our patents in there as well. So there's just so much problems with it. But we're getting to that time. It's almost 2 hours, so I think they'll about do it for this week.
Okay.
Our deep dives for, I guess, what's the next one? Holloman Air Force Base.
Yeah, that would actually give me more time. I'm gonna go ahead. I'll say it here. I'm gonna start writing the article on the Magé Brazil incident because that's gonna take me a while. So if we could do a deep dive on something outside of that first, that'd be great. But yeah, if we could do a deep dive on Holloman, that'd be cool. I keep bringing it up. I still want to do it. The deep dive on the Dulce Wars. I've got the book sitting here that I've read the first couple pages of and just haven't had time to get into it. Besides that,
no problem. Yeah, that'll be a good one too. So it's on the list. We got a nice list.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. This has been great. Hope you all enjoyed that. Episode 166 of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. Hope you enjoyed that article about the name of the thing. I'm already forgetting. Socorro,
yes.
And as always, please leave us a like, comment, and subscribe if you can. Just let us know how we're doing or what you would like to see. If you've got any ideas about topics we can cover, we would love to hear from you guys.
Exactly. Something that we haven't covered yet or some information that we've missed, but follow us also on our social media on X. We're at UAP the podcast. I'm at Breakaway Civil and Topher is at Topher it all. Obviously, if you're on Spotify, you can also find us on YouTube, so go on to YouTube, subscribe to us and do all that stuff because it helps. We are growing on Spotify, but we'd also like to grow on YouTube. Hello, BitChute. BitChute also does well. Let's not forget about BitChute.
Of course.
Right?
I can't forget about BitChute because of that comment we got, or those 3 comments we got in all caps a couple weeks ago.
Aliens are fake. Space is fake and gay.
Please leave us more schizo comments. Those always bring a real big smile to my face.
So yeah, other than that, we love doing this. So once we get over that subscriber thing on YouTube, we can add not subscriptions, but I think they have members. There's a members program. You can also send in questions like for super chats, but we haven't got there yet. So let's get there. Let's get to 500 subscribers. We're at a measly 258 or something, which is nuts. So low. We'll get there. Let's focus on it. Let's focus on that 500 first.
Got to start somewhere.
Right.
We want to thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next week.
All right.
Message in the static. shadow in the dark, a light against the stars, a podcast from afar. It's Adam and Topher, we come in peace. Our hunt for the truth will never cease. It's the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast, where the truth is told until the last. Listen to our words and hear our voices. We can't save you, but present your choices. A message in the static, a shadow in the dark, a light against the stars, a podcast from afar. It's Adam and Topher, we come in peace. Our hunt for the truth will never cease. It's the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast, where the truth is told until the last. Listen to our words and hear our voices. We can't save you, but present your choices. We can't save you, but present your choices. We can't save your choices. We can't save you, present your choices. Present your choices. We can't save you, present your choices. We can't save you, but present your choices.